A little distracted sometimes about what all this stuff is all about, because we like stuff, and stuff makes us feel good. And you know what's amazing about stuff like we're talking about shopping and Black Friday and everything, is that what I find that most people is excited about Black Friday and are excited about shopping, not for what they get for other people, but what they can even get for themselves. Right? I'm guilty of doing all that too. So what in the world has all this stuff got to do with what this week is all about? This is probably my absolute favorite holiday. I love Thanksgiving because it's awesome. It's a time set aside so we can be thankful. But it's completely getting overskipped, or we're skipping right over it, because now it's no longer Black Friday. I've heard somebody making fun of it. They're calling it Purple Thursday, because we're doing the whole shopping thing even on Thanksgiving, and we get completely and totally confused, and we get this idea in our mind that here's how Thanksgiving's going to go. Here's how it's going to go, and we'll plan out the menu, and we'll be excited. Now you can fix the turkey, and she's going to fix the green beans, and we're going to make sure that you get up all the drinks, and you go to Pal's, make sure you get the sweet tea, and you got to pick up the raspberry tea, and he likes unsweet tea, and you got to get you all your favorite teas, and get everything else lined up. But what happens is that somebody will be late. And it's not something that you can kind of wait until later like dessert. It's like something important, like the mashed potatoes or the stuffing. Or you forget to lay out the turkey a couple days ahead of time, and then you got this frozen piece of meat, and it's Thanksgiving, and then you're like, what are we going to do? And we get our idea, and then we get all in just a complete and total teasy because it's not working out the way that we have kind of planned. And it's all completely and totally got misconstrued from what all it was originally intended. So this week, me and our family and our girls, we watched one of the most important episodes you could ever watch. It's Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. And it was really neat because it was all about the Mayflower and all about what Thanksgiving was all about. But what that really showed me is that we've completely and totally got sidetracked from what this is all about. And if we got this idea of our mind, our presentation, how everything's going to look, the decorations, how everything's going to look, and then when something doesn't go that way, we get angry and we get on the edge. And we'll be so focused on our house being clean, and you will absolutely wear your kids out because they spill a little something. You're like, what are you doing? They're going to be here any minute. And you freak out. I'm guilty, guys. We got 4 girls. There's always spills, okay? There's always something. And we get so completely and totally confused about what it's all about. So I want to ask you a question. We got this idea about I won't survive the holidays. What's the one thing you dread about this week, or coming in on Friday about shopping, or getting ready for Christmas? What is the one thing that you dread? What is the one thing you think, you know what? I don't know that I can put up with her this year. Or I don't know that I can put up with cooking everything, or I don't think I can put up with having everybody at my house, or I don't think that I can put up going to their house one more time, or if I have to look at your mother one more time. What is the one thing that you dread this year? And I want you to think about that. Coming up to Thanksgiving this Thursday, we're supposed to be thankful. What is the one thing that you dread? One thing that you dread. And I want you to think about that. What is the one thing that you dread? Now, for the younger people, they really don't care. As long as they get some banana pudding, or as long as they get a little bit of something to eat, they're fine. They really don't care. So this is kind of mostly pertaining to the adults here, the one who is doing all the stressing out, right? Because I used to be the other one. I didn't care anything as long as I got some banana pudding. A little turkey, it's fine. Banana pudding, that's fine. What's the one thing that you dread? What's the one thing you dread? Because I guarantee you I know what it is. See, no matter what you take about what we dread, whether it's the cooking of the food, or cleaning all the house, or getting everybody together, no matter what it is, it all comes back to one thing. People. Because see, we're cleaning our house, so it'll be a nice presentation because people's coming over. Or we worry and we stress about all the food because people's going to be eating the food. Or we worry about the decorations because people's going to be seeing the decorations, and we want them to like it. And it all comes back to people. I don't know how many people I've asked about what they dread about Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that, and it all comes back to this one thing: people. And here's what's funny, is that we will stress and we will clean our house and we'll do all this stuff a lot of times for people that we don't even like. That amazes me. A friend of mine told me, he said that you get to pick your friends, so pick them wisely, but God gets to pick your family. So you can't renege on your family, okay? And just say, you know, I want a new one. You're stuck, okay? So you got these people. So you got this thing that you dread this year. How is it that we can get through this year? Not only survive, but how can we thrive throughout these holidays? How can we thrive throughout Thanksgiving? And we got a little bit of Christmas, and I just think this is pretty wicked awesome, the whole fireplace deal. And y'all remember the movie this is from? Yeah. True story. See, when we got these things and we tag together, and it's awesome, I love it. But when it comes to dreading, we dread people. And many of you are thinking, you know what, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I just told my husband last week that I can't deal another minute with his sister or with his brother, or we're not going to put up with Uncle Joe no more. No more. This year, I'm unplugging the TV. There is no TV. Or something that you're dreading, and it all comes back to people. And we're not the only ones to ever suffer with problems with people. And today I want to share a story with you. It's in the Bible. It starts in chapter 37 in the book of Genesis, because it all has to do with people. And we're going to learn about this guy who had to deal with people. Because we get an idea in our mind that this Thanksgiving is going to be different. That it's going to be awesome. Everybody's going to get along. We're all going to be happy. And you better smile. Okay? And you give your kids, you know, the little talking before they get to so-and-so's house about they behave and they don't do this. I want you to look at this story because this is absolutely amazing, this story. And this is Genesis chapter 37. It starts out here with verse 3. And it says, Now Israel loved Joseph more than his other sons, because Joseph was a son born to him in his old age, and he made a robe of many colors for him. Now, I want to stop here just for a second, because you got this dad, and his dad's name's Israel, and he's playing favorites. He's got this one son that he loves more than the rest of them. And some of you are already identifying with this. Because mom always liked him better than me. Or they always liked her better than me. And I say, you're not even smiling right now, because you know exactly what I'm talking about. And about these playing favorites. And that's exactly what happened here with Joseph. He was the favorite of his dad. Loved him, made him the special coat. All right, so I want you to understand that he's the favorite. Now, if you look at this next verse, it says, when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not bring themselves to speak peaceably to him. In verse 5, then Joseph had a dream. When he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. They hated their brother Joseph. They hated this man. They hated him. Now, I don't know how you feel about your brothers. There was a time that I didn't like my brother or my sister because I thought that I was smarter than them or cooler than them, or I can't cook better than them, but I thought that maybe I just didn't like them. And I know that sometimes that they didn't so much like me. Now, I never used the word hated. I never I actually did tell my brother one time that I hated him, but I didn't really mean it. But we use these words, you know, and now hate means a whole completely different word. Because I've seen these teenagers use it. They go, "I hate you," and they mean it in a good way. And I don't understand teenagers, even though I was one. I don't understand some of the language. But this is not one of those words. This hate was a full blown out hatred. And I want you to understand that in this family, they hated this boy Joseph. Now, this man, he had a dream. Joseph had a dream. And they already hated him, but look at verse 8. So they had this dream, and he dreamed that one day that his family was going to bow down to him. And look at verse 8. In verse 8, here's what he said. He said, here's the brothers. They said, "Are you really going to reign over us?" His brothers asked him, Are you really going to rule us? So they hated him even more because of his dream and what he had said. So Joseph one night, he had this dream, this vision from God that one day he was going to be this great ruler and that his own brothers, his own family was going to bow down to him. And he told it to his brothers. He's like, guys, one day you guys are going to bow down to me. And they said, we ain't. We hate you. We hate you. We hate everything about you. You're daddy's favorite. You're ugly. We hate you. And I guarantee you that they would give him wedgies and they would put spiders in his pillows. And I guarantee you they did all this stuff to him because they hated him. Now, do you have somebody in your life or maybe in your family that you can kind of relate to this to? Like, man, maybe you don't use the word hate, but you just don't like them very much and you just can't stand them. You know, man, if I had to put up with them one more Thanksgiving, one more Christmas, or when it comes time to buying gifts, you're like, I don't know, just buy whatever you want to. Go to the dollar store and pick out the cheapest thing, or get them a koozie, whatever. Just get them something. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll re-gift a gift that they gave us last year. They won't even know the difference. You know the ugly pink scarf that you got? Yeah, that's what we'll give them. Or you'll say, I know what we're going to give them. We're going to give them a no trespassing sign or something. We hate them. We can't stand them. And that's the way that these guys felt about their brother. They could not stand him. Now, this is not just some made-up story. This is in the Bible, okay? This is a story that really happened. And they hated him. Hated him. And I want you to understand that. So one day, this family, they were out working on their farm, and here came Joseph. And this is kind of a lot of scripture, but I'm going to kind of break this up a little bit. And it starts with verse 18. And it says that they saw him at a distance. Here's Joseph coming. They saw him at a distance. And before he had reached him, listen to this. They plotted to kill him. How bad do you hate your mother-in-law or your brother or your sister that you're actually plotting to kill them? Now, I will say that I did at one point tell my brother that I would kill him, but I didn't actually mean it. They were plotting to kill him. And you know what that means when you're plotting to kill somebody? That is premeditated murder. That gets you like executed, okay? Yeah, that's life in prison, this premeditated murder. So they're plotting. They hate him so bad, they're plotting to kill him. That's how bad they hate this guy. In verse 19, it says, here's what they said. They said to one another, here comes that dreamer. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of the pits, and we can say that a vicious animal ate him. Then we'll see what becomes this dreamer. Do you see how bad they hate this guy? They hate him so bad that they're plotting to kill him and throw him into a pit and say that some animal came and just ate him up. Now, do you hate your family that bad? I would hope not. That's how bad they hated him. Maybe you don't hate your family that bad, but maybe you dread it that bad this year. That you dread it so bad, but you're willing to plot something against him. Like, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to make sure that I do something. I'm not going to wash their mug, or I'm going to make sure I leave something out, and we're going to plot in something. Or we're going to say, we'll do it the other way. We'll say, well, your mother-in-law said that this and something over here had cobwebs in it, so I've removed all the cobwebs. It is spick and span. And you're plotting. And here they're plotting to actually kill this guy. They hated him that bad. And it gets even worse, okay? Here's verse 21. He had this one brother that was on his side. In verse 21, when Reuben, he had a brother named Reuben. When Reuben heard this, he tried to save him from them. And he said, let's not take his life, Reuben said to them. He said, don't shed his blood. Throw him into this pit in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Intend to rescue him from the hands and return him to his father. So he had one guy on his side, okay? One guy. But it didn't last very long. So look at this. Verse 23. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped off his robe, the robe of many colors that he had on, and then they took him and they threw him into the pit. The pit was empty and there was no water in it. So they haven't killed him yet, but they did throw him into the pit. Now verse 25. This is what's awesome. They throw him into the pit. Then they sat down to eat a meal. Is that not jacked up? So they take their brother, they're plotting to kill him, they've got this pit, and they take him and they throw him in it, and then what they're doing, they're having their victory meal. This turkey's awful good. How you doing down there, Joseph? And they throw him in the pit. And they're eating. And that shows you how bad they hated him, because they have no guilt whatsoever. None. They're eating. And as they were eating, they looked up and they saw this caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, and their camels was carrying this aromatic gum, and balsam, and resin going down to Egypt. In verse 26, then Judah said to his brothers, he said, what do we gain if we kill our brother and cover his blood? That just sounds fun. What do we gain? If we kill him, what are we going to gain? Now, listen to this. He says, come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay a hand on him, for he is our brother and our own flesh. And they all agreed. Okay. They all agreed. Okay, so it's wrong. We shouldn't kill him because we're not going to get anything out of it. So what we can do is we can sell him and we can make some money. Make some money. We're going to get something out of this. And they all agreed. In verse 28, when the Midianite traders passed by, his brothers, they pulled Joseph out of the pit, and they sold him for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites who took Joseph to Egypt. They sold their brother as a slave. And that is unbelievable. Now, I don't know if you have any family that you feel this way about, or maybe that you just dread being about, but this is messed up. And what's bad is that this is not even the worst part, okay? They sold him as a slave, and look at verse 31. Here's what they did. So they took Joseph's robe, they slaughtered a young goat, they dipped the robe in its blood, and then they sent the robe of many colors to their father. And when he found this, here's what they said. Hey, Dad, check this out and see if it's your son's robe or not. And they're lying to their dad, okay? Verse 33, and his father recognized it, and he said, it's my son's robe. And he said, a vicious animal has devoured him. Joseph has been torn to pieces. This is bad. They're going up to their dad and say, Dad, we don't know what happened. Is this Joseph's coat or not? And it's like, yes, it is. And a vicious animal has ate him, and they never told him any different. They never told him any different. And he thinks that his son is dead. And here they go on, happy with their life, enjoying life. Because now Joseph, he's gone. I don't care how you look at this story, this is seriously one messed up family. And I bet that many of you are saying, you know what? My family's messed up too. See, I had this idea that what I was going to show you from the Bible is that I was going to look through the Bible and find this perfect family. This perfect family, maybe like, the Huxtables, or maybe what you might find on Andy Griffith or something, this perfect family in the Bible. They say, here's a good family. Now, y'all try to be like this family, but here's what I found out from in the Bible, is that every family in the Bible is messed up too. Every one of them. I have yet to find a good, perfect example of what family is in the Bible. Let's start with Noah. We know about Noah. Our kids love Noah. Noah in the ark, and he's got all the animals, and it's great. But did you know that after the flood, that Noah, he got dog drunk, passed out naked, and his sons made fun of him for being naked? That's in the Bible. There's this other man, his name is Lot. Lot had a messed up family too. Because at one point he had these 2 daughters. His wife had died. He had these 2 daughters. So here's what they did. They plotted, they got their dad drunk, and they slept with him so that they could get pregnant and have kids. What? That is crazy, okay? Crazy. So you think your family's messed up. They ain't got nothing on the Bible, okay? Because these families in here are crazy, messed up. Just like us. And here's one thing I want you to understand at this point. Is I don't care how messed up you think your family is, or how smelly you think so-and-so is, or how much you dread it. Here's the one thing I want you to understand. Is that your family is more normal than you think it is. It is. Your family is more normal than what you think it is. Because if you start examining the Bible, you're going to find out that your family's not so bad. You're going to find out that the cooking and all that, you're going to find it really doesn't matter, because back here, man, they sold each other as slaves. After they plotted to kill each other, you're going to find out that it's not so bad. Your family is awesome. God gave it to you. It's awesome. It's more normal than what you think it is. Now, what happened to Joseph after this is something that we need to kind of focus on. How do we deal with family like this? Because we think, okay, we might be normal. We're not as normal as some people, but then you got to ask yourself, what is normal? And that's what I want to show you is kind of like what Joseph done. Joseph had a rough life after this. He was a slave, and we think of slaves, as being mistreated and so forth. So he's in this slave, and he got to be in this man's house. His name was Potiphar, and so he's in this man's house, and he was a good slave, and he kind of rose up in the ranks, and he became to be a leader of this household. And he was there, and everything was awesome. Joseph was living the life. He was overseeing this man's farm and all of his life, and then the man's wife told a lie on him. And actually got him put in prison. And he was there in prison for years. Finally, he got out of prison and he became a ruler. 13 years after his brothers and sisters sold him as a slave, he became a ruler. 10 years later, guess what happened? 10 years later, his family, his brothers, they came down and they actually bowed down before him. He was this ruler in Egypt. They actually bowed down before him. 23 years later. What would you do with your family after 23 years? 23 years of plotting and planning. If you was Joseph, what would you do? You're probably thinking, how can I get them back? And now Joseph was a ruler. He could even have them killed. All he had to do was, you're dead. And man, they're executed. I mean, he was this great, powerful man now. If you was Joseph, what would you do? Have them killed? Would you have them stripped and put into a pit? Would you sell them as slaves? What would you do? Because what we have a tendency to do is rub things in people's faces. But Joseph didn't do that. It's absolutely amazing what Joseph did. Now, if you'll look at this with me, this is in Genesis chapter 50. This is what Joseph did. They came and they bowed down before him. And here's what Joseph said. He said, but Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You planned evil against me. God planned it for good to bring about the present result, the survival of many people. Verse 21, here's what's amazing. Therefore, don't be afraid. I will take care of you and your little ones. And he comforted them, and he spoke kindly to them. Can you believe this? 23 years later, he speaks kindly to them. He doesn't say, why did y'all do that? He didn't say, you are messed up. He didn't beat them. He didn't hurt them. He didn't even say a single harmful word to them. He said, listen, I'm going to take care of you and all your little ones. I'm going to take care of you guys. Here's what Joseph did. How in the world can Joseph do that? And here we are, we're already dreading Thanksgiving and Christmas because we got to deal with so-and-so. We got to put up the lights, and we got to, so-and-so's going to come over. You know they're going to be critical of the decorations, and you know they don't like my banana pudding, or you know they don't like the way I fix turkey, and we're arguing back and forth, and we're fit. And here's what we say when everybody leaves our house. Thank God that's over. Really? I mean, that's what we say. Finally, they're gone. Or here's what I hear people say after Thanksgiving. They'll say, just one more. Just one more to get through. Guys, really? I mean, is that what this is all about, so that we can just survive and just to get through? I mean, really? Somehow we've got this all misconstrued about what Thanksgiving, about what Christmas, even about what family is all about. Because it is not about having the perfect family. But it's about how you can love imperfect people. Joseph loved his family. And I think it's pretty obvious. Because he even said, hey guys, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to take care of your family. How can we do this like Joseph? How can we be like Joseph? Because Joseph loved his family. Yes, he loved them. Loved them. And God had to say some awesome things about love, that if you can do this, it'd be awesome. And it's not just how you can survive, but how you can thrive through the holidays. Look at Luke chapter 6. He says, this is what he says, Jesus says. He says, but I say unto you, who listen. Love your enemies. Do what is good to those who hate you. That don't make no sense, does it? Does it? Love your enemies. Love those who do evil against you. For some reason, we think that what we got to do, I'm going to pay them back. Right? You punch me, I'm going to punch you back. You sell me as a slave, I'm going to sell you as a slave. You talk bad about me, I'm going to talk bad about you. You say I'm ugly, I'm going to say you're ugly. And we would do this back and forth and back and forth. But what Jesus said was, you need to love people. Love your enemies. Peter, here's what Peter had to say about that. And this is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. He says, above all, maintain an intense love for each other, since love covers a multitude of sins. And I love this. Be hospitable to one another without complaining. How many of us are already complaining about Thanksgiving and Christmas and all this? We're already complaining. And he says, not only that, be hospitable, love, and you're going to do it without complaining. That is love. That is love. Can we love people like this? Can we actually do this to people that are aggravating us and get on our nerves? Here's how important it is. Jesus said, above all the things in the Bible, above all the things that you can do, here's what's most important, and it's love. It's love. And this is not a Valentine's Day message. This is how you can love imperfect people. And it's so important. Here's what Jesus had to say about this. And this is in Mark chapter 12 about love. Because some people, guys, they're hard to love. I'm hard to love. I'm extremely hard to love because I am weird. And I guarantee you that if you'd be honest with yourself, you would say that you are too. Y'all hear me making reference to toilet paper. It goes on the right way, okay? I'm weird. And here's what God had to say about loving these weird people, okay? He said, here's how important it is. One of the scribes approached him and he said, when he heard them debating and saw that Jesus answered them well, he asked, which commandment is most important of all? And here's what Jesus had to say. This is what's most important above anything else in the world. This is what's most important. Verse 29, he said, this is most important, Jesus answered. Listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Verse 30, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. The second is, love your neighbor as yourself. There was no other great command greater than these. Joseph loved his family. And Jesus is telling us today, right now, he's telling you right now, that if you can love God and love people, then you can even get through Thanksgiving on a high note. Because Thanksgiving is not having the perfect turkey. It's not having the most perfect clean house. It's not having the most perfect gift for Christmas. It's not about that. It's about loving God and loving people. Guys, not only is that what Thanksgiving's about, that's not just what Christmas is about. That is what life is all about. How you can love God and love people. Love God and love people. So how can you do this? How can you even love God? Practice it. Coming to church is one of those things that we can do, that we can show God that we love Him, that we care about Him. Reading His Word is another. Love God. And we usually don't have too big of a problem with loving God. But when it comes to loving people, that's where we struggle. Because we'll say things to people like, you know what, I forgive you, but I ain't going to forget it. Or we'll say things like, you know what, I don't like them, so I'm just not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. They get on my nerves. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they smell. I don't like the way they dress. I don't like their car. I don't like their kids. Their kids are evil. I do not like them. And we'll do all these things. We'll say these things. And ultimately what it all boils down to is this one thing. Can you love them despite all their faults and all their failures? In the back of your mind, you're going, but you don't know how they are. You don't know what they said to me last year. And you and your husband or you and your wife, you've already had this conversation like, they're talking about my cooking, they're talking about my cleaning. Did you hear what she said to me? Did you hear what she said to me? Did you hear what they're talking about our kids? They said it about our kids. Our kids. I'm not going to put up with that this year. I'm not going to put up with that this year. This time, it's going to be on my terms. It's going to be on my rules. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're limiting how God can be used in your life and through you. Love. How can you love those people this year? Maybe the one thing you can do this year that you need to do is maybe you just need to keep your mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut. Maybe what you need to do this year is stop bringing up the past. Because what's in the past it's in the past. Maybe you need to stop bringing that up. Maybe what you could do this year is actually practice forgiveness. Maybe what you need to do this year is actually help or be on time. How can you love those people? Now here's just some examples that I just thought of. What about you? Because here comes back to this one question. How can you show, and we put this big line here, this blank, how can you show that person love? And you already know who that person is. Maybe it's your own parents. Maybe it's your spouse. Or maybe to you teens, maybe it's your parents, or maybe it's your grandparents. Because sometimes grandparents can be weird because they like to kiss I love you and squeeze your cheeks, and sometimes their breath smells a little funny, and sometimes their teeth, it moves. Right? And I used to think that my grandparents were really, really, really weird too. Boy, and I sure miss them. How can you show them love? Maybe it's all you need to do is to sit down and actually talk with them. See, we think that showing love, here's what we have got Thanksgiving and got Christmas out too. We think that showing somebody love is finding the most perfect gift. Or we think that showing somebody love is having the most perfect bowl of peas. Ooh, if you like peas, or maybe it's having the most perfect, that's crispy on the outside, tender, moist turkey that whenever you poke it with a fork, the yummy goodness just runs out. Or maybe that you think that showing love is having the most perfect clean house. And guys, I'm telling you, it's not. Because you can have the most perfect turkey. You can have the most perfect clean house. You can have the most perfect presentation. And one person can make one comment. It'll make you want to start plotting how you can kill that person or how you can hurt that person. One comment. One thing. How can you show them love? Now, I asked you already, what to do or who that person was. How can you show that person love? Maybe this year what you can do is not lay a guilt trip on them. Like when they come in and say, it's about time. We already served the turkey. Maybe what you can do this year is showing them love is to actually love them. Love them. See, I used to think that love was all about having the perfect presentation. And since then, my idea of love is completely different. Because the greatest thing that you can do to show somebody you love them is to spend time with them. No distractions. Just spending time with them. Spend time. That when they're talking to you, that you're not got the glazed over look. Or you might be thinking that, man, I wish I was outside with the kids right now. They're absolutely killing me. But talking to them. Talking to them. Listen to what they had to say. I don't care how many times your grandparents tell you the old war stories. You've heard them a billion years, but they do not remember telling you this. And you're going to sit there and you're going to listen and you're going to ask questions even though you already know how it's going to come out. How can you show somebody love? Because guys, if you can do this, not only will you survive the holidays, but you will show people the love of God. Because you love people that are hard to love. Love is the greatest thing ever that God ever invented. Is this idea of love and how that we can show somebody love. Love. So you could tell somebody 1,000 times that you love them. Sometimes you need to show it. I don't care how many times you say, I love you. Sometimes you need to show it. And you can't always do it by buying a gift. And I know I spend a lot of time on this because this is the part that's hard. And Jesus said it's so important. It is the greatest commandment that if you would love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Love your family. Love your people. Joseph practiced this. In the very end, when his brothers and all his family, they came down, they bowed down before him. And here's the words that he said. Guys, I got you back. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the ones you ain't got nothing to worry about. I'll take care of you. All the stuff that you meant for me, you may have meant it for harm. But God meant it for good. I'm going to take care of you. I love you. Can we do that this year? Because see, it's not about the trees. It's not about the stockings. It's not about any of these decorations. It's not about the shopping. It's not about any of that. It's about how you can show somebody that you love them, even when they don't deserve it. Love. This great love. Some of you have got to come to a decision at this point that you're going to nail it down, that you're just going to love God. Because I'll tell you this, that if your love for God is messed up, then you can never love people. Loving God. And maybe what some of you need to do is you need to nail it down today. You know what? I'm going to nail it down. I'm going to give my life fully surrendering to God. I'm going to live for Him. I know I'm going to mess up. That's why we've got the grace of God. Because you will mess up. In your marriage or in your life, you are going to mess up. I guarantee you that some of you have messed up this weekend. I have. I've not been my best this week at all. At all. And I mess up. You mess up. But you know what? God loves you. And those people that you're dreading seeing, those people that are hard to get along with, God loves them. And He loves them so much that He sent His precious Son as a gift, and that He died for them. Not just for you, but He died for the people that you're so much in arguments with. Some of you are going to be seeing people this week that you haven't seen since last Thanksgiving, or maybe 2 Thanksgivings ago. How can you show them love? There's a lot of examples in the Bible, but the greatest example that I've found is that when you love God, you just practice loving people. How is your relationship right now with God? Because if your relationship with God is messed up, then you can't love people like you should. How is your relationship with God right now? I'm going to ask you just to bow your head and close your eyes just for a minute. This is between you and God. Because some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're dreading this weekend. You're dreading this whole entire week. You're dreading all of this. And I used to be one of those right there with you. I dreaded it. I dreaded it. But since I've understood the truth that it's not about all this stuff, it's just about being with people and loving them, it has completely and totally changed my outlook. The first thing that's got to happen is your relationship with God has got to be spot on. That you're giving and fully surrendering your life unto Him. How is your relationship with God? How's your relationship with God? Would you pray right now? Father God, You're awesome. How You can love us even though that we do things that are so wrong sometimes. I ask God that You would reveal Yourself in us, that we may be able to give You our whole lives and not just survive the holidays, but thrive. As you continue to pray right now, and I want you to think about and answer this question. How's your relationship right now with God? Some of you have been back and forth and like, yeah, I know I need to love God, but I can't fit Him in at this time, and back and forth. You need to nail it down today. Right now, I am fully giving my life to God. I'm going to live for Him. I'm going to do what God wants done. I'm going to live for Him. If that's you today, you can call on Him right now. Just call into His name right now and just say, Dear God, I give you my life. I'm tired of the back and forth. I fully give you my life. I believe that Jesus died for me and for my sins, and I accept Jesus into my heart. Forgive me, make me brand new. It's through Jesus I pray. And heads are bowed and eyes are still closed. If you just prayed that prayer, you are now